Okay, now we are ready to use these classes in our registration screen and sign-in screen. So let's go back to sign-in screen. So inside this sign-in screen, as you can see, inside this the container that has this sign-in text, we have this on tap. So what should happen here is that when this button is clicked, we should trigger this method and then use our controller to sign in the user. So for that, I'm going to create a method at the top here, which I'm going to call validate details. So I'm going to call void validate details. So first of all, we're going to extract the email. So string email is equals to email editing controller dot text dot trim, and I'm also going to extract the password. So like that. So we can create a simple validation here that says if email dot is empty or password dot is empty. So if that is true, we can show a snack bar, and we can show a snack bar using the scaffold messenger. So scaffold messenger dot of context dot show snack bar. This one needs a snack bar here. Okay, so the content is a text. We can have a text that says ensure all details are filled, something like that, and we can give it a style of app styles normal text style dot copy with, and give it a color of colors dot red. So this method, I can make it private like that, and I want to call it inside here, so I'm going to call it here validate details like that. So that way we can now save this file and have that reformatting. So I want this to have a duration of duration of 2 seconds. So if all the details are filled, so here you can call ref.read, call the aub controller provider dot notifier dot sign in with email and password, passing in the email and the password like that. So now we need to handle the loading state. So to handle the loading state, inside the build method here, we can say final state equals to ref.watch aub controller provider. So we can go to our button here. We can say if state dot is loading, we can show a const circular progress indicator like that, else we show the text that says sign me in. All right, so we've checked the loading state. So finally what we need to check is the error state, and for that we can use ref.listen. Okay, so this listen, we want to listen to the auth controller provider. Okay, and this listener gives us the previous state, which we're not going to use, and the current state. And then inside this body we can show the widget that we want when an error occurs. So this listen is sync value, is of type async value like that. So we are going to create a widget that is called whenever an error occurs. What I suggest we do is that we are going to create, I'm going to add another folder which I'm going to call common widget. Inside this folder, I'm going to create this file which is called async value UI. Something like that should work. Actually, an extension method, async value UI, on async early. So inside here, we are going to create a method show alert dialog on error, which is going to take a build context. So if it's loading, so if it's not loading and has error, so we are going to show dialog. So context, we pass the context, and the builder, this one, as you can see, it takes a build context and returns a widget. So we pass the context here and returns a widget, and the widget that we want is an alert dialog. Let me add a semicolon at the end. So the alert dialog, first of all, I'm going to show an icon. So icons.error, like that. I'm going to give it a color of colors.red, and I'm going to give it a size of 40, like that. And I'm going to make it a const icon. So title is going to be of type text, and I'm going to be an error, which I give a style of app styles .normal text style, and actions is going to be a row, which I'm going to set the main axis alignment .center, and children. So the first child is an elevated button, each has an unpressed. So if this one is pressed, I'm going to just close the dialog and .pop, like that. Child of text, which says close, like that, and I can give it a style of app styles .normal text style. Remove the const here to emit that error, like that. So we might get an error that is Firebase related, and in that situation, we need to show an appropriate error for that. So we can create a method here called error message, which is an object, nullable object called error. So if error is Firebase auth exception, I'm going to return error.message, error.toString. Else, I'm going to return error.toString, like that. Here, I'm gonna create the variable message here, which should be error message, and pass error, like that. And here, instead of error, I'm going to pass the message, like that. Once that is done, you can go back to the sign-in screen. This one should be state.show alert dialog on error, and then we pass the context here, like that. So that way we are going to handle the error state. So in case we get an error, we should get this show alert dialog on error, giving us the exact error that happened. So with that, let me try and run the application and see if everything is working as expected. Okay, So right now I can try to click on the sign in. So once I do that, as you can see, we get this snack bar, and that is because of this validation that we did here. So I'm gonna try to sign in a user here. Okay, so I'm gonna type willy@gmail.com, and I'm going again here. I made a mistake here, and to solve that, I need to go to the code and change the controller. So the controller that I used here for the password should be the password controller, should not be the email controller. And before I forget, I should then go to registration screen, and I should change there as well. So for the password, we should use the password controller. So let me try and add some password here. As you can see, we have that loading state, but since it has failed, we get this alert dialog telling us that we have that particular error, and you can click on close to close that. So since we don't have an account, we should go to the registration page and try to register a user. So I'm just going to open the registration page. So inside this register screen, basically we should do the same thing as we did in the sign-in page. So I'm just going to go to the sign-in page, and I'm going to copy this validate code here. Okay, I'm going to paste it inside here. So I'm going to import this, but here instead of sign in, I'm going to call create with email and password, and pass the email and the password that is collected. Okay, so then I'm going to call that method called validate details and update the state. So again, I'm going to go to the sign in screen and copy this state, and I'm going back to the registration page, and I'm going to paste them here. Again, I'm going to import this like that. This is our extension method. Again, inside here, inside this container, I'm going to check the state. If state.isLoading, I'm going to show a const circular progress indicator, else show that text like that. Okay, so that should work as expected. So let me open the Firebase and go to authentication, and let me now try to create a user. So inside here, I'm going to add an email. So I'm going to add willy@gmail.com, and I'm going to add a password. So once that is done, I'm going to create on register me now. So as you can see, it has registered me successfully. And if I go to the authentication and refresh this page, as you can see now, we have a user that has been registered. And GoRouter is powerful because we did not need to tell it to navigate the user to the main screen. Due to this part here, it has detected that we have already been logged in, and since we were in the registration page, we have just been directed to the main screen directly. So let me go to the main screen. So the main screen is inside the task management. I'm going to go to the presentation screens and the main screen. So inside here, I'm going to create a small logout button so that we can test the sign-in functionality called sign out. Okay, so inside this, I can call ref.read, but I cannot do that because we need to convert this to a consumer stateful widget so that we can use the ref consumer stateful widget. Then I can import Riverpod. So inside here, I can call ref.read. I can go to our aub controller provider.notifier.signout. So when I click on the sign out, Actually, I get an error, but that is because I need to hot restart it. So once the application is hot restarted, I can click on sign out again. And automatically that should direct me to the sign in page. So we are done with the authentication. So I'm going to convert this back to a stateful widget. So let me try to sign in because I have already created the account with willy@gmail.com, and I'm going to add the password and click on sign me in. So that directs me to the main page.